Greetings and welcome to another exciting edition of Poet to Poet. I'm Robert Dunn, I'm your host. It's a hot morning we're taping today, and it's appropriate because we've got some very hot poetry and hot poets too, in the person of Laura Boss over here and Mindy Rinkowicz in the far corner. And we're coming to you today from the Dono di Vino, which is one of the best Italian restaurants I've ever set foot in. It's on 9th Avenue off 51st Street in Clinton, in Manhattan. If you like the neighborhood, it's Clinton. If you don't like the neighborhood, they call it something else, but we won't go into that now. Anyway, let's dive into the poetry, and we'll start with Laura Boss, because she's got one of those resumes that reads like a novel. Very, very exciting. Let's see. First place winner of the Poetry Society of America's Gordon Barber Memorial Award. Nice haircut. What did you get that for?
I got that actually, Robert. I was very fortunate, and I got that for a poem about an after-school workshop that I gave, which made me feel it's always better to write about what you know and what. And I was very happy.
Yeah.
The judge didn't know me. I didn't know the judge, so that was.
So the judge didn't take the workshop in question.
Exactly, and she wasn't 11 years old.
All right. And you're the founder and editor of Lips, a rather reputable poetry journal. We have one on the table here.
Yes, this is an old one.
Let's wave a Lips around, so people can see what's going on. There are very high standards on this magazine. It's very tough to get into, I've noticed.
Well, actually, I started the magazine in 1981, and so there have been quite a few issues, and I'm trying to keep it going, and I will keep it going. And I publish really good people, and it's not a huge magazine, and that's why we get about 8,000 to 10,000 submissions a year, so that's why it's difficult to get into.
Was Lips instrumental in getting you to Macedonia?
I think I have to say that it wasn't so much Lips as it was the fact that I sent my bio in, and I think my publisher really pushed for me also, Stanley Barkin.
Yes.
And I sent them a very good picture, a very good photo, and I don't think that hurt either.
The headshot is everything. Let's see, this was the International Struga Poetry Readings?
Yes, and that was before all the conflict that has been going on, and it was wonderful because I was a sole representative of the United States, and I came the year after Allen Ginsberg was there, so he had gone for some special award.
Tough act to follow. Who or what is Struga?
Struga is a poetry, it's a little town in Macedonia near Albania on a lake, and it is a place that when I went in around 1987, it was a place that for 26 years had been an international poetry festival, and there were poets from all over the world.
And 2,000 years ago, Alexander the Great ran a falafel stand there before he hit it big.
So the rumor goes.
It's possible. It's possible. You have a couple of books. Your first book was Stripping.
Stripping.
All right.
I obviously was never one, but nevertheless, I like the title.
Let's show one of the ones you have. Was this it, or?
Well, this is the one that when I was in Macedonia. This is actually they liked my work, and so they asked me. Really fine publisher. I couldn't understand a word he said, but I knew he was like top notch. You know how your instincts tell you. Wanted to translate my book, so he did in conjunction with my publisher, Cross Cultural Communications, but my first book, as you said, was Stripping, and that was by Chandri Press. And then my last two books were published by Cross Cultural Communications, On the Edge of the Hudson, and Reports from the Front, which it's not my last manuscript, but my last book published. And then
there'll be more. Don't worry.
And then that went into. On the Edge of the Hudson won an American Literary Translators Award, and was published in bilingual editions. And I was lucky enough to go to Sicily on a reading and television tour because of that.
So this one's in Italian then?
Italian and English, yes. Nat Scamacca was a translator.
Okay, let's have a poem then.
Okay, so I think that I'll start with I think I'll start actually with a poem from my very first book, Stripping.
That is a good place to start when you think about it.
Thank you. I am my father's daughter. Tonight, remembering the shadow of my father's voice saying he'd make it up to me as he vomited black into a metal bowl I held for him, a fading giant. He knew, yes, he knew what lay hidden from him on afternoons, each shorter, each darker, each closer to the end. Please God, no, no, prayed the atheist's daughter. My father, married at 18, a shotgun wedding, divorced twice from his first wife, a true son of his parents, also divorced, remarried, divorced, and his father married again. My father, a man the lady smiled across the room to, leaned close to, and he, the gentleman, smiling back into their eyes. Don't die, Daddy, don't know you're going to die. My mother teaching, I leave school at noon. Something's wrong. My mother gives me her role, hides in the classroom by day to face the light at night, 16, and the secret wrapped up in me. My mother trusts me not to tell, my father too. I'll make it up to you, he keeps repeating, smiling the smile that made the ladies move across the room to him. One morphine day, 2 days before the end, he stopped being lucid. His words clearly etched my failure in the air over and over for 2 days. I'm sitting on my coffin. Too many women cried at my father's funeral. You have your father's smile. I am my father's daughter.
Gee, you seem so sprightly. This was quite a change of mood. Is much of your work generated by tragedy?
No, it isn't. In fact, there's an essay by Joe Weil in the most recent issue of the Patterson Literary Review, and he talks about the comedy in my work, which is very interesting to me. And so he actually focuses on the irony and satire of my work and the comedy, and he feels that's where the focus of my work is. So, but that poem was written in 1975, and I think, I believe literature really, it doesn't make any difference when a poem was written. If it works in the moment, it should work forever after, hopefully.
Yes, something preserved in amber, perhaps. All right. What else do you have preserved in amber?
Well, I feel now as if I have to read something that's a little less serious, but in a way it's, I hope even my poems with a little irony have a little...
Believe it or not, all poems are serious.
I agree, Robert. That is so true. I do agree. I do agree with you, even because I do agree with you completely about that. And very few people say that, but it's so true. Okay, this is called Matching Urns. And this is from my new manuscript, and I feel very fortunate because this new manuscript in 1998 was just chosen as one of 10 finalists in the country in PSA's Alice Faye Discagnola Award. So that was good, except I didn't win first prize, but that was okay. We need these strokes.
Wait, recount, please.
So, but this particular poem is from my new manuscript.
Excuse me, just a moment. Mindy, let's write letters.
Letters? What does that word mean?
You kind of scribble on and say and demand recounts and all that. All right, the poem.
Okay. Matching urns. I think how 3 weeks ago, before surgery, I thought as I cleared my apartment in case I didn't make it, so my mother wouldn't have a stroke when she saw my place. How one of the first things my first husband's second wife did after their marriage was to get 2 places in a mausoleum so they would be together forever, though in the traditional Jewish religion, I'm still married to him, since we never had a Jewish divorce, just the usual civil one. And I think how I don't have a place to be buried, no plot way out in Long Island by my grandparents, no plot nearer in Queens where my father and his parents and his sisters are buried with only room left for my mother. What a pain for my kids at the time of grieving to have to find some plot of dirt to dig me into. How civilized if I am cremated and saved in the time and effort as well as cemetery trip, lights on all the cars car's way out to Long Island, but the air conditioner is probably off since the cars are overheating from the 10-mile-an-hour funeral procession. No, perhaps a plot closer to their apartments, but then so costly for them. Yes, better and cheaper to be burned up and my ashes given to them in a tasteful urn in brown clay, or perhaps pink enamel with little rosebuds with daisies if they want to spring for it, to be placed on a mantle. But whose mantle? Will my two sons fight over who will get my ashes? Will the fight be over who has to keep this depressing urn on their mantle? Neither has a mantle. And how will their wives feel to have their mother-in-law forever parked in their living room, seeing the dust or unvacuumed floors, a constant recrimination to them, though she was never a housekeeper? And perhaps my lover of 10 years will want the urn. After all, he is such a collector of cardboard boxes that his VCR or an electric fan came in. Will my ashes be fought over? Will they third me up so that one might have the ashes of my legs with their slight varicose veins, or my head or breasts? My younger son, who kept his bottle until he was 5, probably would get my breasts. No, I see my lover with these. He always admired them. Now he can have their ashes. Buy me a pretty black bra from Victoria's Secret catalog and throw it in. Take out the bra when he yearns for me. No, the ashes on the bra would mess up his plate, and he hates all dust with a passion. No, I see him taking my ashes to the relief of both my sons, and especially their wives. I see him putting my ashes in a matching urn that he selected so carefully for his cat Kate. I see our twin urns on his mantle, my fate to be there next to this cat I was so allergic to in life, seeing some new lover of his in a jealous fit after he tearfully tells her how much he loved me after making love to her. This new lover spitefully moving these two urns on the bedroom mantel so that he is actually talking to the cat when he remembers me, and tenderly pats her urn and calls her Laura. Little less tragic.
I guess, for it is truly written that death is something you learn to live with. Do you give advice?
Never. I try not to.
Never? Anything on poetry?
Well, yes. Actually, Poets Market asked specifically for advice from an editor, and
Yeah.
I made this up, and I said, remember the 2 T's, talent and tenacity.
Okay. Do you have a little one we can slip in?
Sure. I wrote this poem, this is from my book On the Edge of the Hudson. I wrote this poem in 1983. I think it may be timely today. At the nuclear rally, thinking of my father who died of cancer of the pancreas, now linked to radiation. Thinking of my father who worked for the Atomic Energy Commission, which ran security checks on him, questioning neighbors in Woodbridge. Thinking of my father with a pen in his pocket who could add 4 columns of figures in his head, but stayed poor working for the OPA while colleagues took expensive presents. Thinking of my father who embarrassed me singing in the car with the radio on as I now do, who returned from government trips with marzipan, strawberries, bananas, grapes, who cooked Sunday breakfasts of chocolate French toast, his special recipe, and let my mother sleep late. Thinking of my father who smelled of Chesterfields, who never hit, never spanked me, told me he was glad I walked home with the only black woman in my high school class. Thinking of my father who would have been at this rally next to me tonight.
Laura Boss, we'll be doing some thinking. Thank you for coming on. We'll be back in a moment with Mindy Rinkovich. So don't go away.